Representative Gaetz, Republican. Representative Edwards, Democrat. But working on something together regarding something called Charlotte's Web, which I had not heard of prior to this session. Representative Edwards, tell us about Charlotte's Web and the legislation that you all are working on together.
Well, first of all, Steve, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak with you about House Bill 843. Many folks had not heard of Charlotte's Web until Sanjay Gupta did a CNN special and introduced billions of Americans to this product that's being grown in California. It's a cannabis-derived therapy that's taken from an actual cannabis plant, extracted, mixed with coconut oil or vinegar or olive oil, and made into something that can be given to a child either under their tongue or in a feeding tube. And it's being shown to help these children who have a wide variety of seizure disorders alleviate or even diminish significantly the number of seizures that they're having.
Representative Gaetz, you are, I'll characterize you, you can correct me, conservative Republican. Many conservative Republicans are opposed to any use of marijuana for any purposes, but you're a leader on this now. What moved you in that direction?
Well, Representative Edwards had been pestering me for about a year, and she'd been, sending me like 8 emails a day about strains of marijuana that have a very low probability of abuse because they don't have a psychoactive effect or a high effect, but they really could do good in helping people with a variety of ailments, whether it's childhood intractable seizures or PTSD or Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And I kept telling Representative Edwards to leave me alone, go away. I wasn't going to listen. And I learned the story of this little girl in Colorado who got her life back at age 7. She went from a catatonic state and in and out of medically induced comas to being able to say, I love you for the first time to her parents. And I saw that story and I realized that I've been wrong to be so closed-minded about this medicine just because it came from a plant that had a social stigma that was scary to many people. And so Representative Edwards and I spent a lot of time together. She educated me on these issues, and we decided that we would put partisanship, politics, everything aside and do what we thought could bring people together from all ends of the ideological spectrum. And I think that now the support we're enjoying for our proposal in the legislature is a good example of what can happen when people come together on an issue, and really when you start with the concept that can create the most consensus.
Does it look very positive in terms of the prognosis for this legislation?
Every day we gain more interest, by the week more co-sponsors. Chairman Gaetz is right. I annoyed the heck out of him just to get him to talk to me about cannabis policy in this state because, Chairman Gaetz represents a very conservative area. But when he began getting calls from his constituents, for example, the Mosley family, who he'll tell you about, and I began hearing from my constituents in Broward, the themes, the concerns across the aisle, we realized this was truly a nonpartisan issue. And looking at the science and the research, we realized because of that social stigma, there is an incredible lack of research there in this state. But from the data that is available, we recognize that this part of the plant, this CBD that doesn't get you high, holds so much promise. And so we brought this bill together, co-sponsored it, Matt leading it in the House, and we've got about 25 co-sponsors now from both sides of the aisle. And even a prominent physician in our legislature, Dr. Carrie Pigman, who also represents a very conservative area, recently spoke in support of the concept at the bill's first hearing stop. So by metes and bounds, this bill has been a tremendous work in progress, but progress nonetheless in the right direction.
Mr. Gaetz, have you received any pushback from conservatives on this issue since there's been so much attention in the state to medical marijuana, the proposed constitutional amendment, et cetera?
I regularly joke that in my district, Democrats are kind of like the Florida Panther. We've all heard of them, but no one's ever actually seen one in the wild. And so, yeah, there were a few folks on the right edge of the political spectrum that sort of wondered what I had started smoking to back such a controversial proposal. But here's what I found. The more we are able to educate people on the low probability for abuse and the high probability of success, the more we're able to access what is in the heart of every Floridian, and that is the desire to help the most vulnerable among us. I mean, there's a special place in heaven reserved for the parents of special needs children. They would do anything for their kids. And really, this success has not been my success or Representative Edwards' success. It's been their success to tell their stories about how badly they want their children to live past, their 15th birthday. And here's what we know. In Colorado, people using this non-euphoric marijuana are seeing, in 85% of cases, a 50 to 100% reduction in seizures. Dr. Pigman, a colleague of ours in the legislature, he gave compelling testimony before the Criminal Justice Committee that children with intractable seizures are racing towards their death at a lightning speed. And so whether you're conservative, liberal, from North Florida or South Florida, one thing we should all agree on is that if there is a compassionate way to give vulnerable children longer and more meaningful lives, we have to find every reason to get that done.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.